Skål! Hello everyone, welcome to the Ben and Jason video cast. I'm Jason.
I'm Ben.
And this week we take a look at the cult classic Midsommer, starring Florence Pugh and Jack Reynor.
Florence plays Danny, a troubled young girl whose boyfriend Christian, played by Jack Reynor, they're in a troubled relationship, and her sister commits suicide, which inadvertently also kills her parents, and that doesn't help the relationship whatsoever. So,
I don't think it was inadvertently, because she intentionally killed. She took the carbon dioxide from the car and pumped it into a mask that she was wearing, along with putting it under the door of her parents' room.
Rewind. So, she kills her parents and herself, and this leaves Danny sad. Well, Christian's friends don't really like her. She's a total drag. So, they're planning a trip, both for scholastic reasons and just to get away to Sweden. Well, here comes Danny in the room, overhearing the conversation and wants to go with them. Feeling bad for her in awkward scenarios, they let her go and transitions to Sweden.
Yep, and upon arrival, typical college kids, college movie, they start smoking shrooms, getting high. She's like freaked out. She's seeing all kinds of
Grass
stuff.
is moving, trees moving.
Finally, their friend who is from Sweden, that's part of that society or family there.
Yeah.
They finally take him in to meet everybody, and one girl actually takes a liking to Danny's boyfriend, Christian, and tries to get him
to impregnate her,
or at least get him to like her so that he will impregnate her. So throughout the movie, she's constantly hitting on him or trying to give him
because that's part of the societies. They have to have an outsider to impregnate one of their own.
Yeah, because there's a lot of
incestuous lifestyle. The whole community is just to themselves.
Yeah, it's basically West Virginia in another country.
Oh shit! I am unsubscribing now.
So yeah, I mean, and once they're actually involved in this, one of the friends of Christian is there to research and do, and he's constantly wanting to take pictures to get more information about the society.
Not really allowed. He's allowed to, but under supervision.
Yes.
They don't want all their secrets known.
And at one point, they show him, I guess, their Bible or what they go by, their scripture, and he says, "Can I photograph this?" And they're absolutely not,
Nope.
and they kick him out. Later that night, he goes back, starts taking pictures,
and someone bludgeons him in the head and kills him.
And obviously the next day his friends are looking for him. They're like, what happened to him? And
everyone denies it. Another one of their other friends, who's a couple, disappears. And one at a time though. And so the lead elder or whatever, says, well, they caught a truck, they'll be back in the morning. Blah 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 blah. And everyone tries to deny it. Everyone here is overly nice. They're really sweet to each other. But you always, throughout the film, there's something odd and off about it, like most cults.
Yeah. And one point, though, that's probably, I would say, pretty disturbing to viewers. Not that you're going to be watching a cult movie and not used to disturbing things, but is the tradition is within this society is when you reach 72 years old, you give your life back to the tribe to
Nature
release your
spirit.
inner spirit. And so the two elderly people that's giving their life back goes to the top of a cliff to jump onto a death rock.
Yeah.
And so I believe it's a couple. I mean, I would assume that it was a husband and wife. They really didn't go into that, but
the wife goes first, lands, I guess you could say, perfect.
Yeah, head first.
Instantly. The husband jumps off, misses the rocks, breaks his legs, and he's still alive. So a couple of the members of the commune have a special mallet, I guess you could say, and they go over there and smash his face in twice.
Yeah, it's pretty graphic, no doubt about it. And then, obviously, this disturbs the students from the U.S., and Danny especially, because now she's seen her parents
die
and her sister, and now along with these, so it's kind of almost like a flashback, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah, constantly reminded.
And they want to leave for obvious reasons, but they're kind of stuck there because there's one way in, one way out.
Yeah.
And
the community's nice enough in their ways that they won't. They're not a threat within themselves, so they trust them. Tomorrow we'll leave. Next day we'll leave.
Yeah, the weather's bad, we'll leave the next day, and it's just a bunch of lies told to them because they want to keep them there.
Yeah.
And so after this happens, Christian that has been pursued by this redhead. He finally gets drugged into submission, you might say, or
he ends up having sex with her, and
in front of all the tribe's females.
Yeah, they're all there around naked, and they're watching him do it, and even try to help him make sure that she gets pregnant. And so his girlfriend Danny, though, they had like some sort of dance, and whoever wins the dance becomes queen. So she wins it, and she finds out that Christian had done this deed, and so she is shocked.
Well, she sees it.
Oh yeah.
She walks up and looks through the keyhole.
Oh yeah.
And sees him inside.
More than the house.
Yeah, going at this chick. And I don't think that she really knew, though, that he was under drugs influence.
Well, even before he was kind of thinking about being with that girl.
Yeah.
Because he wanted away from Danny. He wanted to break it off. And so I guess it was kind of a subtle way was to be like, oh, yeah, I think I'll go hang with her or whatever. And so Danny could figure it out.
So being the queen, she has the obligation, or at least the right, to sacrifice someone for the tribe. And I think they need 4 people. 2 has volunteered. 1 was committed or something like that too. And she gets to choose, the queen gets to choose the last sacrifice. And she chooses Christian to be the sacrificial one.
But this is, throughout the film, you see a yellow A-frame style building, and you're never in it until the very end of the film. And the elder and some kids cut open a bear and stuff Christian inside, who's been drugged, and this drug paralyzes him to an extent. So he's sewed up in the bear's carcass, sat on some hay. The 2 volunteers are sitting independently, and there's also some people that's already dead, or some of their friends was skinned and put on posts like scarecrows or whatever, and placed inside. And then they light a fire, and that fire burns the volunteers, Christian, and the corpses up. And that's kind of, I guess this is the final day of the ritual, because the whole time that they're there is this ritual time, which only takes place every so often.
And I mean, for cult movies, I would say it does have a cult-like, atmosphere throughout the whole film, because you almost know instantly when they land in Sweden that something is off. It was an okay movie. I mean, I like horror movies, and I would say it was checked as a cult horror slash horror movie. I didn't particularly care for the ending because it basically ended. Danny watches the fire burn and Christian burn up, and then I guess the traditional garment of the queen is the huge flower dress. And you know us, we love flowers everywhere.
We even had this before the episode.
I mean, we had no idea that we were going to be reviewing this week.
So that worked out great.
Until the producer told us Midsommer. We was like, oh, perfect.
Thanks, Ronald.
So once she sees this, it just kind of shows her walking away, but it doesn't really like go into, does she stay there? Does she fly back to the U.S.? Is she now has she committed to the guy who is actually from Sweden? That was the one they met and took him over there. So it doesn't really go. I'm wondering if there's going to be a Midsommer 2.
Yeah.
To kind of sew all this up, no pun intended, with the grisly death.
Yeah, I forgot.
But yeah, so Ben, what would you actually give this movie?
I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I would not watch this movie again. I enjoyed it. I think it was one of the better cult films I'd seen.
Yeah.
I like the overtones of it and the juxtaposition of it being like really bright and colorful, and everyone's really nice, but deep down it's a little more subtle than most. And it was grisly, like the deaths and stuff. I mean, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't watch it again. I mean, the atmosphere, I think, did it the most good.
I mean, yeah, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, I enjoy the cinematography, really good. I think it was done very well. And the guy that did this also did Hereditary.
Yeah. And I like this. I like Hereditary better than this one.
And I do too. I mean, but as far as like a cult horror movie, I mean, it was okay.
Yeah.
And, it's watchable. It's not like some films. Now, I do think that some scenes were dragged out, like the dancing scene where she's dancing.
Yeah, it did take forever.
I mean, it seemed like it was 30 minutes long. I think it was probably like 8 or 10 minutes, but still, it was a lot longer than it needed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have just said, hey, you're the queen, and that would have been fine with me. It wouldn't change the storyline any, but
this is also the other cult film that I've seen. The other one was Nicolas Cage's remake of Wicker Man, where someone's in a bear suit, more or less, or carcass or whatever. I mean, it's the second one.
So the takeaway is, if you go to a get-together and you see somebody has a bear suit, run, because you're getting ready to be...
Unless you're into that stuff.
I mean, we're not here to tell you what you can do.
What you shouldn't do.
Or what you will do. But yeah, I mean, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, decent movie. Watchable.
Yep. So join us next time for another film that we haven't figured out what we're going to do yet.
The producer hasn't given it to us, but as soon as we know, we'll post it. And be sure to watch the behind the scenes and see how all this
came together.
Yes. Be sure to leave a comment,
like,
and subscribe.
Until next time, Ben and Jason the Autos.
I'm Jason.
I'm Ben.
We'll see you next time. When the lady hit the rock. Wham! People watching us.